Let's get some perspective now. Mark Merowitz is joining us on this broadcast from New York City. He's a professor at State University of New York Maritime College. He's also a political analyst and lawyer. Mr. Merowitz, thank you so much for joining us here on WION. All right, I want to go back to the moment elections kicked off from a very small town in New Hampshire. While it has no bearing in the state or national results, it was still, I thought it was very interesting to see that an election so polarizing started off on a tie between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. What is your assessment?
I mean, 3 votes each in New Hampshire is meaningless. It means nothing, and it's really not, honestly, worth our time to spend time to talk about it. It shows that, you know, in that town they're divided, and we're divided in this country. There's no question the numbers are very close. But remember that the numbers you cited of the polls and so forth, there's a margin of error in those numbers. I keep saying this. So if it says 48, I don't know, I wrote the numbers 47.8, 50.6, that could be plus or minus 3 either way. So therefore, it's not meaningful. And also, if you look at the small print of how many people are questioned for a poll, it's probably in a nation of over 300 million people, they ask about 1,000 people. And by the way, I live in New York, I've never got a phone call, never, for a poll, ever. I never got a phone call for a poll. And many people I talk to have never gotten a phone call for a poll. So again, it's a lot of speculation involved here. Now, keeping in mind the comments of the people, and I think that's really important, we're seeing that there are a lot of undecided voters in this election, and that's very significant.
Right.
What you also see is the way this plays out. Yeah, you quoted the non-college educated, the college educated, women, men. The whole election turns on: do you like Trump? Do you not like Trump? Yes, it's true. Trump talks about immigration. And Harris talks about women's rights. It's true that there's certain appeal in each side, but the key thing that you find when you ask the voters is very simple. And you heard it in your own survey. I don't like Trump. I can't stand him. I can't stand that he would be president. I like Harris. I really like Harris. Because Harris has not articulated any policies. She talks in generalities, hard work is good work. Hard work is joyful work. We're going to fight if we win. I mean, really, she wants to be president of the United States. How about some details about what you're going to do? And I was astonished. I think I remembered it, but she's only been a candidate for 107 days for the presidency of the United States, which is arguably, possibly, the most important job in the world. It's extraordinary. This election is just an outlier. It's extraordinary. And I think the other part is the conflict, the words of conflict, fascist, garbage, all those words are very off-putting to the American people.
Right. I would want to go back to a point you made earlier. Are you telling me that you don't trust any of the opinion polls?
I guess not that I don't trust them. I think the pollsters themselves have, and if you read the pollsters' comments about this election, they say, flip a coin. Many of the pollsters are just befuddled. They just don't know. So the answer is not a matter of trust. It's just a matter of understanding the algorithms and mathematics of this. Of course, Alan Lichtman, who is a pollster, he doesn't talk about polls at all. He has keys and so forth, and he doesn't use numbers. So I don't think that's good either. But the truth of the matter is the polls themselves are very concerning because people look at those polls, and it's not that they trust them, but they listen to them. The best polls to rely on are the ones you will never know about, which are the private polls of the campaigns. Those are the polls, I believe, that the campaigns understand the true status of their elections, their situation, and that they're not disclosing to the public. And a lot of what they're doing in sending their message, again, Trump has a message. He was president for 4 years. I'd like to know, what is Harris's message? I have not heard her message. Her message is joy and freedom and joy. That is not an acceptable message for presidency.
But Mr. Merowitz, sorry to interject, but the truth of the matter is the country is split. I mean, I understand you strongly feel about how Kamala Harris does not have a plan and Donald Trump is quote-unquote absurd and quote-unquote weird according to the Democratic camp. But the truth of the matter is, as I said, the country is split. There is a reason we are tracking 7 battleground states where it's just neck and neck. It's election day. We still cannot tell you or the viewers what exactly is going to happen.
No, but the point is, I do not wish to emphasize absurd and weird. This was another thing that Waltz and Harris started calling Trump weird, called him a fascist, called him Hitler, said that he had a Nazi rally in Madison Square Garden. This is not rhetoric that's acceptable for an American election. Yes, the country's split. The country's been split before. And as far as the battleground states, if you look at all the scenarios that the analysts look at, there are many ways that it could play out. And again, our system with the Electoral College emphasizes the popular vote in each state. So therefore, the votes in these states become very important. I don't think we should overemphasize what you said about Michigan and certain communities like Dearborn. I mean, I just don't see it. That community says they're not going to vote. There are 100,000 population total in Dearborn out of 10 million residents of Michigan. And then don't want to vote. I don't see how that's pivotal. So much attention has been placed on that. And I think it's really actually misleading to do that. And all these swing states, you will see at the end of the day how it plays out is going to be, I think, very surprising.
Absolutely, and we look forward to it. But Mr. Merowitz, I hear you. So let me ask you a more fundamental question. How did U.S. politics reach the point it has?
Well, I think look, we ended up, there are a lot of things. First of all, social media and the networks, Fox News, MSNBC. People are siloed. They're in one part or the other. We never had that, even in our communications and our networks. We had Walter Cronkite. We had official people giving the news. We used to talk about the news. Now, either you're on one side or the other. And this happens even in our interpersonal discussions with people. And it's actually deteriorated. But I would say to respond to your point, I think we see this all around the world, including in India and many other countries. There's a lot of the discussion and dissension. And I think it also has to do with the influence of media and the fact that things that happen can be spread out in terms of news right away. This never happened before with newspapers. In 2 seconds, if a statement occurs or something happens, or Biden goes on an interview and calls Trump supporters garbage, that is going to reverberate in a gigantic way throughout the world. And there's no way to avoid that. And then people react to it. And so I think what we need to do, and hopefully, is that when we finish this election, we can actually all sit back and have a dialogue of what we want to do for this country and how we want to fix this country. And that is a necessity of leadership. To your point about Harris, I think Harris was never elected by anybody in any primary ever. Trump ran in primaries. Biden was pushed out, and then Harris was suddenly the candidate. So I think a lot of people feel, to your point, that we have this contention because a lot of people feel that a lot of what's going on here is not according to Hoyle. It's not so legitimate in the way our system operates. And people are also hurting from the economy. And I think that also causes a lot of dissension and a lot of upset, that people feel that prices are too high and they have big economic problems.
Yes, and that explains why economy, inflation and cost of living is one of the top priorities of all the voters. Since you mentioned discourse and discussion and how it's essential to U.S. politics, it's much needed, I want to go back to a demographic called the Gen Z. You must have heard the term. It's usually referred to the people who are born 1996. Absolutely. And there has been a specific and a pointed strategy towards this one demographic where mostly Kamala Harris and the Democrats' camp have been trying to woo them. Since you talked about discourse and discussion, the reason I bring this up is because the Gen Z crowd we have been speaking to across America, and also the polls we have been seeing, I know I keep going back to polls, but stay with me, it suggests that in fact 79% of them, Mr. Merowitz, 79% say that they will vote if their peers are voting. So social dynamics is very important, it seems, to mobilize this specific group for them. What the political parties, or rather the two candidates, are saying is not so important than what their peers are saying, and they're willing to sit down at a table where someone could have an opposing view, and that's okay by them. So when you talk about discourse and discussion, Gen Z is up for it. However, this is also the same demographic that we don't see who turn up for elections. Why is that?
Well, I mean, look, I wanted to turn to something else that's kind of related to this. Gen Z, I don't think there is a monolithic Gen Z. There are Gen Zs or Republicans. There are Gen Zs or Democrats. I don't think that's a monolithic group, but it's also a group who communicates, and as you say, in a different way than maybe older Americans do. One thing I would say, and you're saying from the 1990s and 2024, so that, let's say, that age range, it's not exactly, but notice that Harris's rallies, right, feature such incredible luminaries and experts on politics like Lady Gaga and Oprah and Katy Perry and J-Lo. I mean, really? I mean, this is also an indication of kind of dumbing down American politics. And I think about the Gen Zs, I would hope that they would also be interested in understanding the policies and drilling down. And I think the problem you have today with, with ChatGPT, with artificial intelligence, with the internet and so forth, that a lot of our younger people are not drilling down into the details. And they're also superficially going for, celebrities. Oprah, I think, made the statement, something like, I'm scared if there's an election and Trump gets elected, I don't know if we're ever going to have another election. I mean, they're kind of, creating scaremongering among these younger people. And I think I would respect their ability to participate fully in that dialogue. But I don't believe that, I respect the Gen Z. I think those young people, I think they're capable of understanding the issues if they're interested in it. But I don't think there's a monolithic Gen Z. And I think the problem of lack of communication and understanding of these issues is all the way through all the age brackets. All the age brackets are having the same problem, is to try to understand clearly where these candidates are. But the bottom line of this this campaign, do you like Trump? Do you not like Trump? Do you hate Trump? Yeah, this is what people are saying when they walk out of the ballot. I don't like Trump. Right. I like Trump. That's exactly what you have. So it is, yes, it's about Trump and immigration. It's about Harris and women's rights. Yeah, that's all true. Yes. And it's about Trump and blue-collar, non-college educated men. Sure. And it's about Harris and college-educated women and the suburbs. Yes, and Gen Z and all this other stuff. But if you throw it all together, the bottom line is Trump, I like, I don't like. That is what we hear. And that's what Harris pushed in her campaign, because she was desperate, because she doesn't project knowledge of policy. So she keeps saying, even to the last campaign statement, that I'm scared, I don't want Trump, you can't elect this man. That to me is not a dialogue that even Gen Z or older people, older Americans here will appreciate. So I don't know what she stands for. Disappointed, by the way.
And I think that brings us a full circle on the discussion. I wish I could go on. Mr. Vavis, thank you so much for joining us here on this broadcast. It has been fun talking to you, I have to say.
Always a pleasure.
For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.